Have you ever lent money to a friend and later wished you had written it down? A few years ago, one of my closest friends asked me for a small favor. He told me he was going through a difficult month and needed some temporary help. Without thinking too much about it, I agreed to lend him the money. After all, he was my friend, and I trusted him completely. At the time, the amount did not seem very important. I was not worried about getting the money back. I was simply happy that I could help someone I cared about. A few weeks later, another friend needed a small loan as well. Once again, I said yes without hesitation. Then a cousin asked for a little financial help. Then a coworker needed assistance before payday. Little by little, I became the person everyone came to when they needed help. I never considered myself wealthy, but whenever I could help someone, I tried my best. The problem was that I never kept any proper records. I assumed I would remember everything. I thought the amounts were too small to forget. I believed my memory would be enough. For a while, everything seemed perfectly fine. Months passed and life became busy. Work became more demanding. Family responsibilities increased. New expenses appeared unexpectedly. And slowly, the details started becoming blurry. One evening, I was reviewing my monthly finances. As I looked at my bank transactions, I noticed several transfers I did not immediately recognize. I knew I had lent money to people, but I could not remember exactly who owed what. At first, I laughed and told myself it would come back to me. Then I opened my messages and started searching. I found one conversation about a loan, then another conversation about a different amount, then a third conversation that only confused me even more. Some discussions had happened through text messages. Others had happened through social media. Some had happened during face-to-face conversations that were never recorded anywhere. Suddenly, I realized I had no clear picture of my own money. I knew people owed me money, but I could not confidently say how much. That realization made me uncomfortable. A few days later, I met one of my friends for coffee. During our conversation, he mentioned that he had already repaid part of what he owed. I smiled and nodded, but inside I was panicking because I could not remember if he was right. I could not remember the original amount. I could not remember whether he had made a previous payment, and I certainly could not remember the remaining balance. For the first time, money created an awkward moment between us. Not because either of us was dishonest, but because neither of us had clear records. That situation bothered me for days. I started wondering how many other loans I had forgotten. I started wondering whether I was missing repayments. I started wondering whether some people thought they had already paid me back. The uncertainty became more stressful than the money itself. One weekend, I decided enough was enough. I sat down with my phone, my bank statements, and a notebook. I spent several hours reviewing every transfer I could find. I searched through old messages, I checked screenshots, I reviewed payment histories. I wrote down every person who owed me money. I recorded every amount I could verify. I added notes about repayments that had already happened. Slowly, the confusion started turning into clarity. For the first time, everything was in one place. I could see exactly who owed me money. I could see exactly how much was still outstanding. And most importantly, I no longer had to rely on memory. The feeling was surprisingly powerful. I felt more organized. I felt more confident. I felt more in control. Most importantly, I felt less stressed. The money itself had not changed. The only thing that changed was my ability to track it properly. That experience taught me an important lesson. Good friendships deserve clear communication. Money should never become a source of confusion between people. Keeping records does not mean you distrust your friends. Keeping records means you respect both yourself and the people around you. Today, I keep track of every loan, repayment, and balance in one place. I no longer have to search through old messages or rely on memory. I use TrustBuddy to stay organized and keep everything clear. If you regularly lend money to friends or family, do yourself a favor and write it down. Your future self will thank you for it. Because forgotten loans can create confusion, but clear records create peace of mind. And sometimes protecting a friendship starts with keeping better records.